we all know the West is not doing so great in recent decades. The West is kind of dying. People are involved in killing it. It's not just dying, it is being killed. I want to go back to this quote from Abraham Lincoln. It's often brought up, a speech he gave when he was 28 years old, Abraham Lincoln's Lyceum Address, 1838. He was in his late 20s. Shall we expect some transatlantic military giant to step the ocean and crush us at a blow? Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth, our own excepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a track on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it is ever to reach us, it must spring up from amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. We have his quote here that you can read along with there. Keep that in mind, what he said about we will only fail by suicide. We will only collapse when we kill ourselves, either literally or politically. All the armies of the world couldn't topple the American empire that we have, but we can destroy ourselves. Keep that in mind, because this is very important for the point I'm trying to make here. But let's hop across the pond real quick to the UK, where, good news, everybody, white people have returned to advertising.
Yes.
It's shocking, I know, but
This is not real.
no, the good news is white people are back in advertising. The bad news is it's ads trying to get you to kill yourself. So these ads like this are currently all over the London Underground.
I don't believe this is real.
This is
Connor,
Oh,
I call
oh,
you out in real time, sir.
Call me out in real time. I will show you the proof. I wish this wasn't real. Let's put this back up so people can see this. This is a real woman. This is a real campaign called Dignity in Dying, because this Friday, the members of Parliament will vote on a bill that expands assisted suicide protections.
This is an attractive woman dancing
yes.
in a silk
But
pajama
she's dying
in
inside.
a beautiful
we'll see.
kitchen, and it says, "My dying wish is my family won't see me suffer, and I won't, and I won't have to."
Well, part of what's so sinister about this is if you look on the right-hand side,
Toaster.
When I cannot stay, let me choose how I go. This is Sophie, kitchen disco diva, and mom, terminal breast cancer. So these ads are made with real people. This is a woman who, according to the ad anyway, has a terminal diagnosis. Part of what the bill says, I believe it's referred to as the Assisted Dying Bill. It's a piece of legislation up for vote in Parliament this Friday that seeks to amend the Suicide Act of 1961, which prohibits assisting suicide and carries a penalty of up to 14 years in prison. It would allow terminally ill adults with less than 6 months to live to take their own lives with the consent of a judge and 2 doctors. So this ad campaign, women like this, a mother with a terminal diagnosis, according to the ad anyway, plaster him up there and say, hey, she's killing herself. Maybe we should all support this legislation. I believe the next one is a video of the hallways of the London Underground, because it's not just that one ad. Look at this. It is hallways plastered with it. Let's roll this clip.
And this is in London?
This is in London.
I actually
One ad.
I feel physically.
There's another
ill.
one. There's another one. Another one.
Dude.
They have bought the
That's
entire
the
hallway.
same one that's on the other wall.
Yes.
So the
Dude, there's like, look
Well,
at this.
on the one hand, there's no companies have money to advertise, apparently. On the other hand, the government's just pissing away money.
Bro, that's the whole...
same exact ads
Yeah.
in every single. How weird is that? Normally, when you see a campaign like that, it'd be one ad with you on it, one ad with you, one ad, but it's like one ad with you, another ad with you, another ad
Kill
with
yourself.
you, one
Kill
ad
yourself.
with you, another ad with you. That's very odd.
Just to bring this actually, I mean, Connor, I don't know if you're going to relate this to Canada, because this stuff is going on in Canada. There was an ad, a 3-minute movie made by a company called Simons, which was a clothing company, and it was called Love, Beauty, and Everything, about this woman who was euthanized. The woman in the video didn't want to kill herself, and articles came out afterwards to the effect that she felt that she wasn't getting the care that she needed from the healthcare system, so if she couldn't get the care for life that she needed, she would just choose to die. The person in the ad ultimately did not want to die, but couldn't get proper care.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys on the show, I wasn't on this episode about a month ago, but there was another related assisted suicide story that I'll actually touch on in a few minutes, where Amy, I think it was, who was covering it, played a video of a guy in Canada who's impoverished and has a bunch of chronic health conditions, and he was opting for MAID, the medical assistance in dying, and he was saying, I don't want to die, but I'm in pain and living in poverty out on the street is something I won't face. So I guess because I can't find a place to live, I'll kill myself, which is the most heartbreaking and dystopian thing you could imagine. But you saw in the London Underground just there, plastered wall to wall with ads of this person's going to kill themselves, this person wishes their dad would kill himself,
Yeah.
this person thinks you should, encourage your member of parliament to vote or whatever. These are ads that are not acceptable on the London Underground. For reference, a couple years ago, there was this one from a vitamin company on Are You Beach Body Ready? That was not allowed because the mayor of London said it was degrading to women.
Oh my
The one on the left-hand side is from a stand-up comedian. You'll see it circled. That's a cucumber. It was originally a hot dog, but he had to take down the ads because the London Underground will not allow you to advertise junk food.
That could kill you.
Yeah, because it's in violation of laws against advertising for, quote, food and drink high in fat, sugar, salt, or fat, salt, and/or sugar. And then the BBC article in the lower right-hand corner, they also had to pull this ad for a website design company because it featured artisanal cheese, and the cheese was too high in fat for them to advertise in good conscience. So let me get this straight. You won't run ads that are degrading to women because that could make them feel bad. But if they feel bad and want to kill themselves, that's acceptable to advertise. You won't do junk food because junk food makes you unhealthy, which causes chronic conditions. And if you have chronic conditions, you can kill yourself, so you can advertise for that. So completely ridiculous.
You're being too logical.
I guess.
What the hell's your problem?
We do a segment every 2 weeks on why the UK is cooked, but I really think
You know about their prime minister's backstory?
Keir Starmer.
Yeah. So I listened to a
fill me
podcast
in.
earlier this weekend, and his job, his sole purpose in life before being prime minister, was to defend people who raped kids and people who were terrorists. So he's a public defender. Defended those people. That was his primary thing in life, to get people off of jail time for being a terrorist or for raping kids.
Apparently, he was knee-deep in the Loudon gang rape, grooming gang scandal that Tommy Robinson exposed, and for which he's now
that
sitting in
evil
jail.
white supremacist.
Yeah, he's in jail for
national-
however 18 months now.
Yeah.
So that's where Parliament's at. They put that guy in.
Great.
But part of the outrage people are having over these ads, and it has really sparked a strong backlash, because not only is the assisted suicide thing a problem, but it's where they chose to advertise. Because this London Underground has an epidemic of people who go and jump on the subway tracks to kill themselves. So imagine walking down the hall in a depressive state and you see ads, oh, yeah, kill yourself, all over. The one expert who was quoted, "It is irresponsible and dangerous of TfL," I believe that's Transport for London, "to be promoting suicide on the tube when in the last year there were 68 suicides and suicide attempts. TfL has said that its staff prevented more than 2,200 suicide attempts between 2017 and 2021. So who greenlit this? Let alone who's backing assisted suicide legislation, because that's evil unto itself. But who decided, no, let's advertise in a place people go to kill themselves? That makes perfect sense.
Think about the power of affirmations and how much of an impact this must have. If people genuinely say that there's a huge power to putting positive words up around you in your shower or something. But imagine walking by this.
Kill yourself.
That has
Kill
to,
yourself.
That has
Kill
to do something
yourself.
with vulnerable
It,
people.
it normalizes a culture of death, and that's what the purpose is. Just so that nobody thinks that I was making anything up. The National Post reported the woman featured in the pro-euthanasia commercial wanted to live, say her friends, and she's quoted as saying, "I feel like I'm falling through the cracks, so if I'm not able to access health care, am I then able to access death care?" Her name was Jennifer Hatch. They featured her in the ad, and she didn't even want to die, but they killed her. Murder.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the advertising, like I brought up. Who is in it? It's an attractive white British woman. You almost never see that in advertising anymore.
Never.
It's funny. You only see white men show up in military commercials when they're about to send us to war. You only see white women pop up on billboards when they want us all to kill ourselves. Think of who this is targeted at. It is almost exclusively native Brits who they're trying to get to back this legislation. The whole movement says, all these people support assisted suicide, but it's all natives. And honestly, if you're a third world immigrant arriving in Britain right now, things are so good, why would you ever kill yourself? You get millions of dollars worth of benefits every year, and free housing, free cell phones, free health insurance, all the things they keep giving people. You have a clear path to a great life. There's no reason to ever want to end it.
Great
So,
replacement.
yeah, so it's exactly. Think back to the Lincoln quote. No army from anywhere in the world could ever conquer the United States, and we're applying that more broadly to the West. Nobody could ever come in and conquer them. So instead, they just got them all to kill themselves and then let the new wave of poor third world immigrants come replace them, so that it made the great replacement that much easier. And we're a little tight on time, so we can skip over some of these next ones. But
You have to show the death.
yeah,
part.
I do have to get to this
Show
because
the death part, 'cause we only have a minute left.
Amy mentioned this in that segment I referenced earlier. But these are the Sarco death pods, where you can go in.
Can we show this?
Yeah, throw that up. This is an article I wrote a couple months ago when they were first introduced in Switzerland. Since then, the first woman who is killed with one
It's a
committed suicide.
gas
It
chamber.
is. It is.
Didn't it not work and they had to
No,
strangle
yeah,
her?
there were signs of strangulation on her
God.
body, which
What
means
the
guy
hell?
who oversaw this.
So it went from suicide to murder.
yeah, the guy who oversaw it is currently arrested because the autopsy
Dude,
report.
That's a bad idea.
but
Getting worse.
Part of what I wanted
$20.
I wanted to circle back around to this because, like Viva said, it is a gas chamber. They have you execute yourself by pushing a button through nitrogen hypoxia. This is taken off in Europe. Canada's looking at it. The guy who invented this pod is now, quote, very keen to bring it to the UK. And the death through nitrogen hypoxia is taking off in the United States as well. But as an execution method for death row inmates. I pulled an Associated Press report on the first guy executed by nitrogen hypoxia. If we can jump to my last slide. This was Kenneth Eugene Smith. So this is the guy who's willing to bring it to the UK. Skip ahead a little bit. We'll have the shot of the guy. Kenneth Eugene Smith, who was convicted and sentenced to die in 1988 after a murder for hire slaying where a preacher contracted him to beat his wife to death to make it look like a burglary gone wrong.
Jeez.
Even though I'm about to describe something terrible, bear in mind it didn't happen to the nicest guy in the world. But this is how the AP described his execution. After they put the mask on, and the point is they slowly drop oxygen, replace it with nitrogen. It's supposed to make you fall asleep and then suffocate. Didn't happen.
Oh, Jesus.
Smith began to shake and writhe violently in thrashing spasms and seizure-like movements around 7:58 p.m. The force of his movements caused the gurney to visibly move at least once.
Jeez.
Smith's arms pulled against the straps holding him to the gurney. He lifted his head off the gurney and then fell back. The shaking went on for at least 2 minutes. And, he was visibly in pain, gasping the entire time as he was slowly suffocated.
Yikes.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, I'm sure. But this is the point. This thing we're using to execute death row inmates in the United States is taking off as the blissful, peaceful, humane option to kill yourself in the rest of the world. So, yeah, the West is dying. These people are trying to make sure we kill each other. Any Futurama fans might remember the suicide booth,
Nah.
where it was a quarter. The sarcopods are a little bit more expensive.
Inflation.
But you remember the suicide booth also had it had the quick and painless option, which I believe just shot you, and then also the slow and painful option, which is a bunch of buzzsaws and fire and everything coming out. So
Wow.
clearly Sarko is giving the...
Everyone should look up Action, AKTION, Action T4, which was the German Nazi mercy killings. They started with the mentally ill, the handicapped, and then they expanded.
I wouldn't put it past like that. What you just showed, that's the future in those type of places, which will be crazy. You'll push a button, it'll drop you and it'll incinerate you.
They've ruined living to such a degree
Living
that
sucks
it's
now.
just go
Yeah.
die in peace.
Yeah. So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.